What was it about Byron's game that put him on a level so superior to everybody that year?
Well, I think he was trying to buy a ranch, and he was really working at it. He was like digging a ditch. Every time he cut off his truck, he helped get the ranch. But he had more concentrated on what I was trying to win the tournament or make some more money. Let's put it that way, because they paid for how you finished. And in fact, one of the best answers I could give you on winning is that. Or trying to make some money and playing golf is forget about making the money, just try to win. If you win, you're going to get paid.
You bet.
So that's the name of the game. But in the meantime, he was really concentrating and worked awfully hard, and finally it was catching up with him. I think he got to the point where he'd almost like to lose and get out.
Do you miss your buddy?
Yes, I certainly do, because McSpadden and I were known as the Gold Dust twins because we played together a lot, played matches. And he and I played together in the first of the 11 tournaments that I won in a row. The first was a 4-ball match in Miami, and he and I were partners. And I had a couple of bad rounds. I had a great last round, and he carried me a few holes. I'd carried him a few holes. But we had an entirely different type of personality. And I guess because of that fact, we got along very well. We never had any arguments or any problems. We just went out and played, and sometimes we beat somebody.
I can remember.
But he was a very good friend. I think that one of the nicest things he ever did, which never been anything said about it, except I've said it, that at the Open in 1939 when I tied, why, there wasn't many people around to help you. McSpadden was my marshal, so to speak. He helped me through the gallery. He stayed right with me. And you wouldn't say anything, not help my golf game, but he helped me through the gallery and stuff, and he was there all the time when I played the double playoff at Springville in Philadelphia in '39.
I can remember a time he wasn't happy with you. The 7th win of the streak, you had to birdie 4 of the last 5 holes to beat him. He was done to beat him by a shot, and you birdied all of the last 5 holes. How did he react to that?
Well, I was staying with him and eating his food.
In Philadelphia.
And he was, you know, so he thought he had me beat. And naturally, you know, those days they didn't pair you toward the score. They paired you to help some gallery in the morning. He was leading the tournament, so they paired him early to get some gallery out, and I was playing in the afternoon. And Leo Deagle came out to me at the 13th hole, who was a great player and won the PGA and stuff, one of the great players, and older fella. And he came out to me at the 13th hole and said, "Kid, how you doing?" I said, "Well, I'm doing pretty good." He said, "How you doing?" I said, "Well, I got par for 68. He says, "Not good enough." And I said, "What?" He said, "McSpadden just shot 66, and he's leading me 2 shots. So I right away, I wasn't a very good mathematician, but I figured out right away that I would need some birdies if I was going to do anything with him. Well, so fortunate I did. I birdied in, and at the last hole, I almost holed my second shot, put this close. And when he accepted the second prize, he did everything but cuss me out, I'm telling you.
Well, you stole the golf tournament, you ate his food.
Yeah, I did. I'd have to say I shot 63, you know, and then when he's leading by 2 and shoot 66 and lose. That don't happen to you very often. I was very fortunate.
Raleigh in Texas. What do you want to ask Mr. Nelson?
Mr. Nelson, it's an honor to speak with you. It seems that nobody walks anymore. Some country clubs even make you ride a cart. What are your feelings on the subject? Also, if you would comment on your feelings on oversized clubs.
Can you tell me what?
Walking versus riding and oversized clubs. What do you think?
Oh, walking versus riding. Well, if you have a little limp like I do because of a bad hip, why you like to ride. But I think that the riding you have for the seniors, they ride if they want to, or they walk. You can find most of them walking, but there's no riding on the big tour at all, and on the latest tour, so on the big tour. So I think that walking is one of the greatest exercises in the world. So I like, if I could, I'd love to walk, but I see nothing wrong with it whatsoever. But as far as the
oversized clubs?
The oversized clubs, I think up to a point that's all right, but I hope they don't get them so big that you look like you're hitting it with a tennis racket or something. But I think that they've got about as far as they need to go, will go, because, you know, too big, you can be big, but too big is too big. And I think that there's a lot of reasons to make them larger for, let's say, help the poorer player, but I don't like them, but just medium-sized myself. even though I don't play very well anymore. But I have nothing against him at all, and I don't think it helps a good player, but it helps a poor player. And anything you do to help the poor player is good.
Quickly before we take a short break, I know during the Second World War, and you and Jug were deemed not fit for service. I think your blood didn't coagulate quickly enough, as opposed to being a hemophiliac.
Right.
You guys spent 19 straight days with Hope and Crosby. What was that like?
Well, it was fun. It was very hard work, but it was fun because they had such big galleries, and the activity and the excitement around them was so much that it was different than what McSpaden and I were used to. But it was fun because they were such nice guys. They were different personalities. But I'll say this, that Hope and Crosby, I found out that just as a pickup, a quick antidote or something or other, that Crosby was about as quick as Hope. But what they did, they'd advertised they were going to, that Hope and Crosby was going to sing, and Crosby was going to sing, and Hope tell jokes, and they'd have it at the golf course. They're going to play 18 holes. Well, we never played but 9 holes, and then they have a stand set up, and they have music and so forth, and even had Johnny Weissmuller with us, you know, the great swimmer, and Tarzan and such, and so it was fun, but it was still hard work. But I'll tell you, they did so much good and raised so much money for the USO and for the Red Cross and stuff. It's just great.
Was it true that Weissmuller did the Tarzan call after a good shot?
Oh, yes. The first pro-am that I ever played in the Crosses when it started, I was paired with Johnny Weissmuller. And he didn't hit many good shots, but he did. You could hear that Tarzan yell all over the golf course. He was fun to play with.
We'll be right back with Byron Nelson. It was not only as a player that Byron Nelson had a great impact on the game. He helped shape the game and destiny of future stars by sharing his wealth of knowledge on every aspect of the game of golf. When Ken Venturi made this putt to close out the '64 U.S. Open, it was clear that he was an honors graduate of Byron Nelson University. In 1975, another protege finished in magna cum laude fashion when young Tom Watson won the Open Championship at Carnoustie and vaulted himself into the highest echelon of championship golf. Watson returned in 1977 to give a complete clinic at Turnberry and a battle with Jack Nicklaus that many think to be the greatest ever waged. He closed with this one last final brilliant birdie.
People said to me, if you ever slow Tom down, he'd make a fine player. And I said, if Tom Watson think fast, move fast, acts fast. I said, that's a built-in rhythm. That's a born rhythm he has.
Robert, you go ahead and ask the first question.
Mr. Nelson, I've been a fan of yours, read all I could read about you, but I'm also a fan of a guy that I know that's a friend of yours, and that's Tom Watson. My question is this: do you think Tom Watson will win again this year?
That would be a tough question to answer, but I tell you, Tom is playing so well and his attitude's so good. He's playing as well as he's ever played, really. He's driving the ball beautifully. His putting has made a lot of recovery, and I would not be surprised if he does not win again this year, because he's a great competitor. And one thing that he does, he keeps himself in the right mental frame, and he takes wonderful care of himself physically.
His swing seems better than it's ever been. His shoulders perhaps more level through the hitting area, a little more solid tee to green as a result?
Oh, I don't think there's a doubt. You don't play better by not swinging better. And so that, the way he's swinging proves that. And because he won, and he's finishing well, doing very well, and still only about 125th or 30th on the putting list. So that means that he's driving the ball better and getting more greens than he used to. But his swing is much better. The rhythm, not that his speed is the same as well, but his whole motion back and through is very much together. He doesn't have any hitches anywhere, and he could beat anybody anytime. And I asked him Well, I won't say what I asked him. Really.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm sure, because it wouldn't be fair. But nevertheless, I would say this, that Tom Watson and Ken Ventura were just talking about two players that I'm very fond of, as well as the fact that they were great players. And Tom Watson still is.
In terms of Tom Watson off the course, he's been perhaps more important to you off the course than you have been to him on it.
Oh, absolutely. Tom has really been a big encouragement to me and a big help to me, and has kept very close track of me. And when my first wife was paralyzed for a long time, Louise, why Tom visits us a lot, about every 3 weeks, and he was always great.
One of the great things about both of the fellas, and you tell me if this isn't so, is that to get better, you also have to be a great student. You have to be willing to learn. You have to be open to learning. Venturi was a great student, wasn't he?
Oh, absolutely. They both were very great students. Ken Venturi, I think, understands the mechanics of golf today as well as anybody I know. He's excellent at it. And Tom Watson, I think, is the best at analyzing his problems or his good, and anybody else. He understands. He's got a mind like a steel trap. Boy, it's just great. And he keeps up with everything and everybody so well. He knows exactly what's going on, and is not timid about saying so.
What did it mean to you to see him win Jack's tournament at the Memorial last year? And if I can ask you a two-parter, what did it mean when Venturi won the Open for his last hurrah in '64 at Congressional, where the Open will be again this year?
Yeah. Well, I'd answer about Watson first. I was extremely pleased, and I was not surprised, because he was driving the ball and playing so well, and he had quit missing as many short putts, and his longer putts were quite good. So he was hitting as many and better greens than anybody, so I was not surprised. I was extremely happy by it. I was glued to the television. I watched every shot, and I couldn't have been happier if I'd won it myself. But in '64, when Ken Venturi made the great comeback to win the Open under first conditions health-wise, and having almost a bad sunstroke and stuff, why it proves that his game was good enough that it held up itself. All he was trying to do was just to stay alive and keep going himself, and his swing was good enough that it was automatic. It did itself.
One of the great, great days in the history of golf, and the last day that the Open was played at 36 holes.
Oh, absolutely.
We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back with Byron Nelson. Don't go away. Every week you have an opportunity to send a little question via the website of the Golf Channel, thegolfchannel.com, to our guest. Question for Mr. Nelson is, what was your most memorable Ryder Cup moment as a player, and what do you think of the growth and popularity of the event? That's from Joe Haywood in Boise, Idaho.
Well, that was a pretty easy to answer, really. My first and most important thing that ever happened to me was when I played in the first Ryder Cup in 1937. We played in England, and we had never won in Great Britain. And I was paired with Ed Dudley to play against Henry Cotton, who was the greatest player in the world, and especially there, and Al Padgham, who was the Open champion. And it's what they call the foursome play, where I call it Scotch foot, where you play every alternate shots. And I played my irons wonderfully well that day, and we won. And the reason I liked that so much was that the newspaper said, when Hagen was captain, and Hagen said, they quoted Hagen saying that he'd put Nelson and Dudley together. Well, Nelson and Dudley were the most unknown players on the Ryder Cup that year. So the paper said the butchers have sent them to the lambs. So then when we won, then they said the lambs bit the butchers. But as far as the popularity is concerned, we were winning it so much before they were just playing against England. But when they put Europe in there, people like competition, anything, but especially in golf. And we'd won quite a few times. Well, then all of a sudden, when they put them in there and the games become very close, I think the total number of points that are difference in the last three matches is 30 each one. was only about 3 points total. That'd be 90 points on 3 points, 3 points different. So they love the competition, and it's the biggest thing in golf today, because the president of the PGA, Tom Addis told me that last year for the Ryder Cup, well, of course, it's 2 years ago now, because this is just in Thursday, 2 years ago, that they had requests for 250,000 tickets. So that's how big it is. It's great.
Remember the days when they couldn't give away the tickets for the Masters at $3 a piece.
Right.
Now that 37 Ryder Cup, that's when Hagen, who was so comfortable over in Europe, made the mistake during the presentation, I think, and he said, "I'm so delighted to be able to win on home soil," but of course he was in England, and,
Right.
and in his great way he turned it around. Let's go ahead and talk to Sally. Hello, Sally.
Hello there. I'm congratulating you on your birthday, and you look great, and obviously you're mentally and physically alert. I used to see you in the grocery store in Roanoke. And how do you stay in such good shape? And are you still playing golf?
Well, I could start backwards. I could say, yes, I still play golf. I don't play as much as I want to. I don't have time. But my health is good, and I think there's a couple of reasons why my health is good. I was born having good health, and I've taken care of it. I take care of myself. I eat properly. I don't drink. I don't smoke, and I don't carouse around. And I have a marvelous wife that feeds me properly and sees to it I keep my weight down. I weighed 179 when I left the tour when I was 34 years old. I weigh 185 now.
Tell us what you said to Sam Snead when he said he doesn't drink, he doesn't smoke. I don't think he ever had any fun. What'd you tell him?
Well, I was kind of stunned about it, but he had introduced me in a big show in Florida. And so I got up and I started talking. All of a sudden I saw him sitting there smiling like a chessy cat. And I looked at him and it just hit me all of a sudden. I said, "Sam, do you think it wasn't any fun to win 18 tournaments in 1 year?" Well, I got a standing ovation when I said that.
And I don't think he's ever said a smart word back to you
No,
since.
he leaves me alone.
We'll take a short break. We'll be right back and spend a few more minutes with Byron Nelson. Every time I'm lucky enough to spend some moments with you, it always occurs to me how at peace you are. What in your life with Peggy now gives you the most pleasure, and how do you spend your time these days?
Well, I spend as much time with Peggy as I can, which is nearly all the time, which I love. And it's very good because Peggy is interested in me, and she plays golf, and she has filled my life completely from the golf side. People don't say to me anymore, "How are you, Byron?" They say, "Where's Peggy?" or "How's Peggy?" and so forth. And the way she takes care of me and sees after me and has done things for me, it's just unbelievable, and it's added tremendous stature to my life.
You have said to me before that sometimes you feel like Rip Van Winkle, that you're going to wake up and find it's all been a dream.
Yes, I think that, I still think that, because I look back and see the scores I shot and winning those tournaments in a row, and realize I had to be awful lucky, but still to do that, why, it doesn't hardly seem real sometimes. But I read it in the paper, and I read in the magazines, and read what you and everybody else says, so I guess it must be so.
Gene Saracen said, "Why do they wait so long to give us all the honors, though?" He said, "Where were they 50 years ago when I needed them?"
Yes, that's certainly true. That's a peculiar thing, because I'm being honored now myself for things that I did, from in my early stages of my career clear on through the time that I quit. And I think having the tournament that I have in Dallas under Byron Nelson, the GTE Byron Nelson Classic, also has been a tremendous help to my name and to help with the tournament and with golf.
And of course, you have honored us and all of golf by your presence here tonight. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you very much, and I want to thank all the nice people that came to be in the gallery tonight.
You're very kind. Happy birthday. See all of you next week right here on Golf Talk Live. Thanks for being with us, everybody. Good night.